Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GABNET, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GABNET laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live, and you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
You love GABNET. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GABNET is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GABNET programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GABNET wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GABNET. Reasons why you tune into GABNET. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone call on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be able to be treated as an enemy combatant.
I think so.
GABNET. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GABNET. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hello, everybody. This is Alex Bennett, and voice only because we'll start our video really rolling with the Citizen Panel in about 25 minutes from right now. But as we do every so often, got to check in with an old friend that we just love to sit around and kick stuff around with. Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of the funniest men I know, one of the most intelligent people I know, and his cataracts are ripe.
They're ripe. Because, like you said, you got to wait till they're ripe.
It's Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You were telling me between calls, because we record a couple of these at a time.
I have a cataract in my left eye, which now apparently is to the point where they could take it off. But.
Well, let me take you back to about the 1950s. And if your doctor said you needed a cataract operation, okay? To begin with, it was a very lengthy procedure. And once you did it, you had to sleep every night in a block that kept your head still. Okay? And that was how the whole thing worked. All right? So that's what you have to look forward to. A month of sleeping straight up with your head in this kind of brace, this block that keeps it from moving. So that's how. Well, no, actually today it's a little different than that. It takes about 15 minutes, and by the next, they put a cup on your eye overnight, and the next morning you go to the doctor again. He takes the cup off, looks at it, and says, "Okay, keep using these drops." That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. Nothing. I had both eyes done.
At the same time?
No. I had the first one got ripe, and then I couldn't see. Everything in the center of my vision was blurry, and they said that's cataract. So we went and had the cataract operation, and it was no problem. And I wasn't afraid of it because my wife had already had one, so I knew what to expect. And then about a year later, 2 years later, the other one seemed to be getting ripe, and he said, well, let's do it. And he like on Wednesdays or something at this clinic that he rents out or something, really does, it's kind of like Cataracts or Us. He does, like, there were 20 people there all lying there. Next, boom, you go in, out, cup on the eye. So I had this done twice, and quite frankly, it really did improve my reading vision, even though it isn't supposed to improve your vision at all. But sometimes the side effect is that you can read a lot of things. The strength of the glasses I used went down in half.
Okay.
So it's no big deal. Just go get it. You wear a cup on your eye for a day, like that retard in high school who used to always come to school because he had something wrong with his eye and had some kind of patch. You remember those kids?
Yeah, there's always one.
Yeah,
I think it was me. But
it was you. Were you the kind of kid who got beaten up in school, or were you the kind of kid that beat people up, or were you the kind of guy they just never paid attention to?
No, I was kind of the somewhere in between, because I think you survived with. I think some of the kids found me funny, so I think I would have gotten beaten up if I hadn't been funny to them. So
were you funny so you wouldn't get beaten up?
That might have been it, yeah.
Because a lot of people I know who were comics said that they started being comics in school because they found that if you could make somebody laugh, they couldn't hit you.
Yeah, they'd almost protect you if they thought you were really funny. So.
Yeah. But they They always kind of made fun of me because my father was a musician. All right, and so where did my father take me? He didn't take me to baseball games. My father never took me to a baseball game. I can't remember my father ever watching or listening to a baseball game. But he took me to the ballet and the symphony.
Yeah.
Well, this didn't play too well in school. So what'd you do this weekend? Well, I went to the symphony with my father. What are you, queer?
That requires a savage beating.
Yes. I've told people that, I always tell gay people, I know what it's like to grow up gay. And they say, how come you're not gay? Because I'm terminally straight. And I said, because everybody in high school thought I was. And so I got all the abuse you would get if you were gay.
Yeah.
What, are you, queer or something? That was the worst thing they could say about you. What, are you, queer or something? I didn't even know what that meant at one point. Neither did they, actually. But everybody assumed that I was like gay because I didn't play baseball. I wasn't into sports particularly, but I went to the symphony and I went to the ballet. So
The whole high school was just a nightmare for me, as I recall. I was very fat and just very withdrawn.
You were fat? I can't even imagine you fat.
Oh yeah, I'll show you a picture sometime. I was quite fat.
Really? And how'd you lose it? You just grew up and you lost it?
I went from drinking 12 cans of Coke a day to 1. That's how I lost my weight.
And that just alone made you lose weight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine the day when there wasn't Diet Coke?
Yeah, I don't think we had them when I was a kid. I think they had the first thing that wasn't a Tab, which was awful.
God, it was the worst. In fact, you remember Bob Goldthwait? You know,
he drank that stuff like
He used to be famous. He drank Tab. You may remember he would bring in 2 6-packs, and during my show, he would down the whole 2 6-packs of Tab. Now, of course, part of the reason is it just like Coca-Cola had caffeine in it, but it had something else in it. One day, he decided he wasn't going to do Tab anymore, and his head started ringing and throbbing. I mean, there were withdrawal symptoms from Tab, and they were horrid. He finally had to do he had to go down to 6 cans a day and then down to 3 and down to 2.
Weaned himself off.
Yeah, it was like a drug. It was the worst. It was the worst.
Wow. That's incredible.
And that was their idea of diet soda, and I don't know why it tasted so bad, because they had saccharin back in the day, and that wasn't a bad tasting substance.
Tab was, I think, the worst thing I ever tasted was Tab. It was just...
Yeah. And then they came out with a Diet Coke, and that replaced Tab completely, although they kept making Tab for a while. And now they still make Tab, but it's an energy drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they kept the name. Why they call it Tab, I have no idea, but it was horrid. I mean, I know that I relished a sugar-free Coca-Cola because I was addicted to Coca-Cola, right?
It was the best drink ever, yeah.
So Tab was like, at least, it was sugar-free, and you would do it, and it was, I can't remember how bad it tasted, but all I know is I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, it was like a glass of chemicals.
Yeah. And then they upped the ante where they came out with sugar-free Coke, and it was, what did they use in it at the time? There was another kind of substance.
Aspartame.
No. Before that. And then they decided that it was bad for you, that it was killing mice or something. And in recent years, they found out it wasn't killing mice. But it tasted just like sugar. And it was great. You could have your Diet Coca-Cola, and it tasted just like the real thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden, this stuff is bad for you, and it's I can't remember what they called the stuff. I'm trying to remember the name. And eventually they said, well, we're going to ban it. We're not going to let people use it. In recent years, they found out there was nothing wrong with it, but they did then. And so they replaced it with the stuff, the aspartame or whatever that's called. And that was okay. Diet Coke was okay. But now they've come out with Coke Zero, and then they came out with Coke Zero Sugar, which doesn't mean it has sugar. It means it has zero sugar. Mm-hmm. And that is the perfect version of Coca-Cola for non-caloric.
Yeah, that's the one I'm drinking now.
It is. Isn't it good?
Oh, yeah.
It's just really good. In fact, I don't like regular Coca-Cola anymore. And I don't know if there's a real market for regular Coca-Cola anymore.
Well, from what I read, millennials do not drink Coke. So.
What do they drink?
Energy drinks.
Energy drinks, those things?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to set your head a throbbing.
Yeah.
Energy drinks. Wow. Yeah, because Red Bull, things like that.
Yeah, and Red Bull causes, I think, kidney stones.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, when I was working in the electronics industry or the computer industry, do you know what computer programmers did like crazy? Was Mountain Dew. Because it
had the most caffeine.
It had huge amount of caffeine, and they would spend all nights coding, drinking one can of Mountain Dew after another. And so it became, the whole computer industry was founded on Mountain Dew. I'm serious. It was the computer coder's dream drink. Do you ever remember this thing? Remember when Dana Carvey had a TV show? Which, by the way,
short-lived, but
very good show.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go to, I think it's Hulu, they have them up on Hulu, and it really was very good.
Yeah.
And he had writers like Judd Apatow was involved with him, and who were some of the other
Louis C.K., Colbert, Steve Carell.
Colbert was one of the performers. So was Carell.
Yeah.
In fact, they did this thing on that show about two waiters who couldn't stand the thought of food, and they're trying to recite the food that's available for dinner that night to a couple who are having dinner, and they start vomiting. They start kind of, and then we have a wonderful flank steak. It was a very, very funny routine. It's on there, folks, if you get a chance.
Well, I think the show is probably too edgy because Dana had such a wholesome.
Well, that's what they figured they were getting Saturday Night Live Dana.
Yeah. And
Dana went out and found all these guys like Louis C.K. and Colbert, who was a real wild man at the time.
Probably Smigel.
And Smigel, I think, was involved with it. Yes, absolutely. And they did this show that broke every rule. And every week they would have brought to you by, or they would name the show like the Dana Carvey Mountain Dew Show. Okay? And they would literally sell the name to somebody, and then in the show, Dana would do kind of a commercial for it. And I remember when it was the Dana Carvey Mountain Dew Show, he has somebody sitting there, I don't know, it might have been Carell, it might have been whoever, Colbert, and he says, look at this. And he takes Mountain Dew and he pours it into a glass. He says, what does that look like to you? And the other guy goes, refreshment? And Dana goes, no, what does it really look like to you? He said, wholesomeness in a glass? He said, no, what is it really? They never say what he's trying to get the answer of, but, basically he's saying, doesn't it look like piss?
Yeah.
And
hilarious.
And I think after that, Mountain Dew said, I don't want anything to do with this. So next week it was another sponsor, and eventually they were having a hard time finding somebody to get a free advertising to be the sponsor of the show. Show only lasted, what, how many episodes? 6 12?
Or 8,
yeah, and then that was it. But it was a brilliant show. And I don't know that Dana actually, I think they had a documentary about it on Hulu, about the Dana Carvey show. And it was, I think he said he wasn't, he really wasn't that happy when he was doing the show because it wasn't really representing him.
Yeah.
It was just these wild men who were running rampant on television. He was, in retrospect, he's very proud of it, and that they even got the goddamn thing on the air. But I think it ruined Dana's career, at the time. So
it didn't help at the time. But
yeah, exactly.
He's bounced back.
Exactly.
So.
There's a very good documentary on. Judd Apatow did a 4-hour documentary on HBO.
I was going to tell you, I'm 3 hours into it. I love
it. On Gary Shandling. Isn't that maybe the best documentary you've ever seen about comedy?
Yeah, when I first heard it, I said, I can't watch 4.5 hours. Now
I was the same way. I said to girlfriend, you go watch it. And then we started it, and one thing led to another. And before we knew it, we watched all 2 nights of it and all 4 hours of it. And it's sensational.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your takeaway from it?
Well, it's just great. He was certainly one of my comic icons. He was a comic I actually wanted to be, I think. And so I didn't realize his life was losing a brother. Seemed like that really, really affected him.
Yes, it did. Well, I don't think we're spoiling anything for you folks because it happens in the first act of the show.
Happens in the first act, and you can see how it Well, I don't think the mother did a great job of handling that.
It's called the Zen.
They kind of did. They kind of didn't tell him the brother died, right?
It's called the Zen of Gary Shandling, and part of that is because he kept writing these almost Zen-like notes to himself. You know, life is this, death is that, and so on. And it's. I came to appreciate him more than I did when he was alive. I mean, I liked him on It's Gary Shandling Show, which I thought was brilliant, and I loved him on Larry Sanders.
Larry Sanders is the best.
I never paid a lot of attention to his stand-up or his time on The Tonight Show, but I realized he was good at what he did, but I didn't realize that his effect was as profound on other people, that he, in fact, was what we call mentoring people.
Right.
In everything from comedy to movies, to directing movies, serious films. He became a consultant on some films. That he really the love that people felt for him in the business was extraordinary, because they felt they had been really influenced by him. So I mean, you must have loved watching it, because probably it said a lot of things to you about your own career.
Yeah, and it just, I can't believe it's 4.5 hours, and you want to see more.
Yeah, and you get to see.
It's great they saved all those notes and everything that he wrote.
Well, you also get to see his comedy in total, and it is some pretty amazing shit. You know, I mean, he was amazing. What a great comic. So everybody, you should watch that. Now, the one I want to watch, I haven't watched it yet, is the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO, in which they have a documentary about. You remember Andre the Giant?
Yeah, they made a documentary about it.
Well, he was the first wrestler, or one of the first wrestlers, to take on a persona. You know, and he was very well liked and very well loved. He wound up in The Princess Bride. You know, he was one of the stars of The Princess Bride, and I think it could be a very interesting documentary. Although, as I remember, the earliest incarnation of a character in wrestling was Gorgeous George.
I've heard of him.
Yes. Came out wearing a feather boa and things like that, you know.
Wrestling was one of the first popular shows in television, right?
Well, you know why? Because it was cheap. You didn't have to pay.
It was like wrestling. It's kind of genius, because it's actually more of a soap opera than wrestling.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, it never was taken seriously as a sport. I mean, there is college wrestling, and that's a serious sport. But this, if you did college wrestling on television, everybody would fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because it's very slow, and it's muscle against muscle and so on. This was a sports entertainment, they referred to it as.
Yeah. They came up with these outrageous characters. Like, remember there was some guy called the Sheik?
They had the Sheik. My favorite was, what's his name? Oh, God. Oh, George, the something. Oh, God. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. I should know him, because he was my favorite wrestler. And he was this guy who was he was ugly as sin, and he would come out and he was just this absolute brute. And he was a college professor. He was. Was it George the something? George the Beast? I can't remember. God damn it. I hate this. I hate when this happens to me. And now I know that when we're running this, there's a crawl of people chatting. We're now going to suddenly going to give out the name. You know?
Right.
George the Animal Steel. That was his name. George the Animal Steel.
Him I haven't heard of.
And he was, I think it was George the Animal Steel. Let me look it up. Got to look it up. Wait a minute. Let me type in the wonderful words, George the Animal Steel. Let me go the Animal Steel. Then I'll find out what his first name was. Steele. Okay, then you guys don't have to. George the Animal Steele. Yeah, that was his name. Oh, here's his net worth. Well, how much was he worth? Well, it doesn't say. But anyway, he was a very funny. In fact, he was in. You remember the movie Ed Wood?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played Tor Johnson in that picture. George the Animal Steele. And supposedly, this guy was a college professor. And he was looking for a way to supplement his income, and he went into wrestling. And he played this character who would go out and start eating the turnbuckle on the in the ring.
The animal.
Yeah, George the Animal Steele. How could I not remember George the Animal Steele? But anyway, I thought he was just terrific. I mean, I just loved him. And because I followed wrestling for a short time there. They had the Iron Sheik, and you had Roddy Piper, who, by the way, was one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, because as a gymnast, I mean, he did flips and flops and everything like that, but he came out in the ring wearing a kilt.
Yeah, a lot of those guys did get hurt.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that you didn't get hurt, although it was hard. It looked like you were getting more hurt than you were. But if you ever watch wrestling, it's more like you're fighting on a trampoline. It's the stage, the ring, is very loosely sprung. So when they take somebody and they shove them down, they really just, it's like landing on pillows or whatever. But sometimes, there were accidents. Now, here's something they used to do, and they stopped doing it. But you ever notice in the early days of wrestling, the wrestlers their head would get bloody, and there'd be blood spurting coming down from their head? You remember those days?
Yeah.
You know how they did that?
They had probably a ketchup pack.
No, they had a little razor blade.
Oh, Jesus!
In their fingers, taped to their fingers, and they would cut themselves while they were wrestling, so the blood would start coming out. So if you ever go and see an old wrestler, like maybe George the Animal Steele or the Iron Sheik, you will see all these little cut marks on their forehead from that.
Jesus!
Now that's dedication to your craft.
And, of course, one of the biggest movie stars, money-wise, would probably be Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson, yeah. I think he is the biggest movie star, isn't he, right now?
I think so.
Pretty much. And you know what? He's very likable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a star because of his muscles or anything else. He's just got star quality.
I think you said he looked like Rob Schneider on steroids.
I didn't say that, but Rob Schneider probably did. He has the biggest film in like 15 or 20 years for Sony Pictures. Jumanji it's their biggest grossing picture of the last 15, 20 years. He is the most bankable actor in movies today. You put him in anything, and it will sell tickets. And I like him. It's not like I have anything bad to say about him. I think he's good at what he does. He's good for the type. He's a true movie star in that his persona is what is the star, not the person. And so it's kind of like Bogart. Every time we went to a Bogart movie, you went to see Bogart. You didn't go to see Bogart playing somebody. That's why. So it's I really like him. So he's done very well, and now there are a couple of other people coming out of wrestling trying to emulate the same thing. But he was the only one that really has made it big. And I don't know if he still does, but for a while he had to give a lot of his money back every time he made money. Part of his fee went to the WWE.
Oh, Don McMahon.
Yeah, McMahon. Now, I don't know if he has to do that anymore, but for a while, in order to do all these other things, he had to give him a cut of the action. So, But anyway, Hey, look, we've run out of time. We started talking about wrestlers, and before you know it, we've completely wasted another 25 minutes of our life.
Well, let's talk about Gary Shandling some more the next time.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely, the attractive, and the somewhat verbose and Well, whatever he is, it's what you describe and other people do too, as Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
All righty. Well, there he was. Bubbles, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Bennett, and let me turn up my mic's not up high enough. Hold on a second. Let me do this. I got to get them adjusted. I come in here on a Monday, and I don't check everything like I should. If you notice a little bit, I don't know if you notice the difference. There is a better camera tonight. We are a lot clearer, I think, thanks to the fact that I went out and bought a 4K webcam. Not that you're seeing it in 4K, but that it has the ability for that resolution, so therefore all lesser resolutions look much better anyway. So, do I look better? No, you still look as ugly as you always were. Thank you very much. Let me see here. Let me get up my Skype. Even put a new logo up there on the Skype line here. Okay, so we're open for business here. If anybody wants to call us, we have our lines are open. By the way, tomorrow night, part 2 of our interview with Jack Garfein, the Broadway director, motion picture director, teacher, scholar, everything, who spent the first part of his life in concentration camps, 11 of them. And we're going to continue our interview with him, another 30 minutes worth, and then the finale will be the week afterwards, which will be a long 50-minute episode. And after that, we're going to put all hour and 50 minutes up as one video, so that if you want to tell people about it, to watch it and whatever, they'll be able to. But that's tomorrow night will be part 2 of our 3-part interview with Jack Garfein, and I think you'll people the last week were just gobsmacked by it. So I think there's no reason why you shouldn't be too. Okay, this is the part where I wait for people to call. And then at some point I threaten that if I don't hear from anybody in 5 minutes, I'm just going to turn the whole damn thing off. Come on, you got to call me because I got a brand new camera. Look here, look at you can actually see the writing on my hat, and what it says, and it's so much clearer and cleaner. Is anybody noticing that at all? Let's see here. Hi, Alex. George. Somebody wrote for George the Animal Steel, right? But nobody notices the good look, the better quality camera that we're using tonight. So, to hell with all of you. All right? Okay. Anyway, I'm waiting for the first caller. It's going to be Phil, I'm sure. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. But we're open. Let me see here. Anything I have to say? Today was tax day, and at the IRS, they had trouble with their website, so nobody could file their taxes. So they're giving it one more day. This was actually an extra day today, because I don't know why they made it an extra day, but somehow Monday, which was supposed to be the first day, was a holiday of some sort. Not that I really know. Do you notice my camera looks better?
Yeah, but the video looks really dark.
Well, that's not me.
No?
No, that's you. That's something with you.
Huh.
Because my video, look at me, folks. I look great. There's no dark video there. It's all beautiful and bright on my side. And when I look at it on the web itself, it looks fine too. So it's you as usual, Phil.
As usual.
As usual. Hello, Scott Boddicker. How are you? Wait a minute. There he is. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me ask Phil. What was looking dark? The picture you're seeing of me? Oh, yeah, it is dark. Yeah, let me do something about that. That is not the one that goes out over the air, so I hardly ever pay attention to that.
I was going to say the one that's going out on YouTube.
Hold on.
It's amazing.
Really?
I was reading the titles on your bookshelf behind you.
Really? Okay, and it's working. That's working. Okay, let me do this.
But this looks horrible. That's better.
There you go. Okay, no, that's too much.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Yeah, that's a little too much. Let me. I've got to go here, and let me see here. Right light. No, we have to. There's something wrong with the white balance. Oh, here we go. Auto white balance. There we go. But now I'm too blue. That's maybe.
Are you wearing blue?
Huh?
Are you wearing blue?
I'm wearing blue, but my face looks blue. Oh well. I mean, that's the. Nobody sees this on the air. This is the feed that goes out on Skype that you see. Hold on a second. Maybe I can adjust this. There we go. There, that's slightly better. I'll fix it when I'm on another day and time here. So yeah, that looks okay. Does it look right? That'll you can live with that, right, guys?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I was going to go back to your YouTube. It's much better on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, no, the picture that I use on YouTube is from a different camera altogether.
Yeah.
Than what goes out on Skype, because you can't get two cameras working at the same time, one camera working on both things at the same time. The system just won't allow you to do it. So I've always had two cameras, one for you guys to see me, and then one that goes out. And the one that's going out now, I think, did you say it looks gorgeous? You can read all the books in back of me and everything. And
yeah, I'm going to go back and look at it again. Oh, now you're...
What goes out, because you can't get two cameras.
There we go. Okay. All right, now that we're all adjusted, thanks for calling, and I'll see you next week.
See you tomorrow. Actually, you won't see me tomorrow.
Why is that?
Tomorrow's a photography club, and Thursday I'm shooting a Brazilian band at the UC Theater.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll live without you.
Yeah, it's, safe zone. No Republican zone.
Well, if nobody calls, then I'll just hang up. I call this thing off early. We have very light listenership tonight for some strange reason.
I enjoyed listening to your conversation with Bubbles.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, about Gary Shandling and.
Yeah. Well, I always have fun with Bubbles because Bubbles and I just talk about stuff. So it's just me and Bubbles in a conversation. And we take it whichever way it goes. He's kind of like a co-host for a half hour, Yeah. And he works out really great. And tomorrow night, I guess you're going to miss part 2 of Jack Garfine's interview.
I'll hear the recorded version.
Well, yeah, boy, did we get a lot of reaction to last week's. So and I'm telling you, when we get to the third episode of these interviews, that's really something. What do you know? John Peroulis is not all on a black background.
But I will be pretty soon. I got to go to my editing room. Hey, my wife and I bought tickets for Ray Renati's play on Thursday.
Really? Yeah, I got a thing about it, and there's no way I can fly out, Ray. So I'm sorry.
But I'll give you the lowdown. I'll give you the whole thing. I promise I won't try to live stream it on my iPhone.
When are you gonna go? When are you gonna go see it?
Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night. So I won't have you on the show, and I won't have Phil either. But you'll call, won't you, Scott? Please. No. Oh, you're mean. You're mean.
No.
You're just really mean.
I don't say much anyway, so I'll just...
I should get my money's worth out of this camera and every now and then come back to me. But it does. I was looking at it. It does look a great deal better,
What kind of camera do you have?
It's a Brio. It's a Logitech, but it's about 100, and they sell them now for about $160, and they're 4K. They're capable of 4K.
Oh wow, 4K. Damn.
Yeah, but you're not watching it in 4K. You're watching it in 720p. I think is what Facebook puts out.
Yeah,
but it's a much more even picture all the way around, and yeah, so
great.
Yeah, it's looking.
I got a new toy too.
What'd you get?
Oh, you want to see it? I'll show it to you.
You don't have to show me it. Yeah, I bought a mini Mac from I get Phil's hand-me-downs now. And that Mini Mac is terrific. It could replace my Pro. What's that? Live View? What's that?
Yeah. It's a hardware encoder.
Oh, no, you told me about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I gave it a workout yesterday in downtown San Francisco, live streaming a news event, and it was just awesome. I mean, it gave me consistent 720p over a Verizon hotspot, right in front of the
now the people that I've been doing business with for years, which is Livestream, have a thing you can buy and put on top of a camera and broadcast live using it.
Yeah. So you know what is cool about this one is right here. I don't know if you could see it. There's one on this side and one on this side.
Or HDMI out.
USB connections so that you could bond 2 or more, even up to 4 or 5 cellular devices on this thing, and you get rock solid bonded internet connection. Yeah. So I got a job next week. I'm going to give that a whirl.
Yeah, well, have fun with it.
Yeah.
I downloaded OBS Studio. And
good.
I got the camera to work. I didn't find under filters the ChromaCast.
Oh, the Chroma Key.
Yeah.
Well, just go to their tutorial and look up Chroma Key.
I did. I watched several tutorials. But I'll get it.
Just don't go to Chroma. You don't need Chroma Key. If I don't need it, you don't need it. Okay.
I don't need a lot of things. I didn't need that Mac Mini, but you seem to need it.
No,
Chroma Key is fun.
Huh?
You can do all kinds of neat things.
Yeah,
with
but
it.
it's I mean, come on. He has no use for it. Okay, except as a gimmick. Yeah. And then he's going to play with it, and then we're going to have to watch all these things of like his head in a toilet bowl and shit like that. And I don't, I mean,
I hadn't thought about the toilet bowl.
Well, maybe it's because I've had it with Chroma Key. I spent a lot of time in front of Chroma Key screens in my lifetime.
Well, I saw you last time I saw you live, Alex, was at a streaming media show in San Jose, and you were doing Chrome Key right there with those weird ring light.
Yeah, it was called. That was called. What do we call the thing?
Light?
No. It was. You literally had a reflective screen in back of me, and then the ring. It was called a hollow ring. We called it. You put the hollow ring in front of the camera where the lens is. So that you don't see anything, but it's surrounding the lens. It shoots the color onto the reflective screen and then back into the camera, and then you use that as your chroma key.
Yeah.
So you can use anything. You could use red. You could use blue. You could, we had several colors for them.
I met.
In case people don't know, wait a minute. We're talking about something. I better explain it to the audience because it's boring as shit to them. And they should know chroma key is the way in which you literally take somebody, and what you do is you cut out the background and place a background in there. They do it in movies all the time. That's why things look so huge and big when there's just like two people just standing there. And what it does is it eliminates everything but what's the color of that screen, and then it superimposes a picture on it. That's the simplest way to explain it. Okay.
Screen.
Chroma key screen, huh?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to wear anything green. If my hat was green, my head would be cut off.
Well, we used to use chroma key.
Invisible.
Well, we used to use chroma key blue, but but everybody went to green because less people. If you were doing interviews, less people would show up with green problems.
Do you remember that TV show, The Invisible Man?
Yeah.
Did they use chroma key for that?
Which one?
I don't read.
The Claude Rains one?
The Claude Rains one, they used a form of it. It was actually Luma key.
Yeah. Oh, Luma key.
Luma key.
Oh, because they only did black and white then, right?
That's right. It was Luma key.
Yeah.
And chroma key, they use on most things. I mean, it's a simple technique now. When I did my TV show, before we came to this and just doing audio, and now back again doing video, the whole set I use, and people can go on to our Roku our Roku channel and see the shows we did with it. It's a virtual set, and you couldn't tell that it was a virtual set. It looked like
I thought it was a real set.
You thought it was a real set, yeah.
Yeah.
4 locally here has the exact same set. I think it's real. But,
Well, the same exact set. It's probably from my friends at New Tech. That's their what comes with the TriCaster, whatever it was called. And it really,
Yeah, they still make that.
yeah, it was still no, it's a great company, and they do great work. But the whole set was completely. And I had 2 sets actually. I had a set I then went to and sat on a stool with a big screen to the side of me, and so it was. We did some good stuff with that chroma key, But I spent enough time with chroma key that I don't need it now.
okay, well, and you can look at mine when I get it going.
No, I don't want to see yours. The minute yours goes on, I'm hanging up on you.
Oh, sure.
It's the same thing. It's same things as with your sound effects. I'll hang up on you.
Oh,
I'd like to do that max headroom key, like have all the weird things going on in the back of me. And I miss max headroom. I wish they'd put it on again, update it.
I hope not. No, I hope not, because anytime they redo something, it's never as good as the original, because the original was based on a certain simplicity that the new ones, they try to use all the tricks of the trade in order to make it work.
Well, they blew it on The Prisoner. You remember Patrick McGowan's Prisoner? They did a remake of that a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember with who.
Sucked. It was so bad. God.
You're breaking up a little bit on us. I don't know what's wrong with your
bandwidth.
Your bandwidth is a little fucked, but that's
I thought it
okay.
was my system.
No, you're fine. You're great.
yeah, fine.
Scott.
I heard breaking up, and
I've just been ingesting Netflix redo of Lost in Space.
It's great, isn't it?
Oh, you guys like that?
Yes and no.
I thought it's so slow moving.
Well, that's
it moves like
part of the problem is it's very slow moving.
Right.
To the point at which that on some episodes I'm going, come on already, come on.
I only watched the first one.
Bingo.
Oh, you only watched the first one. There's that problem. There's another problem in that all of a sudden people are coming out from everywhere, and they never explain how. No big deal. It's early on. Scott.
Spoiler.
What I was going to say is it's so early on, I'm not spoiling the plot for you.
Now,
Okay.
is it still Will Robinson or
Yes.
somebody else?
It's Will Robinson, and there's a robot. And
Yeah, but they made the robot this spooky, icky thing. It's not. I miss Robbie the robot.
I don't miss
what a
Robbie.
great character
Robbie
that
the
was.
robot came from Forbidden Planet. They didn't even invent him for. That was a rent-a-robot that the production company got.
I saw him at Kennedy Space Center a few years ago.
But no, I do like what they've done with the robot in this one. I think that he has a certain kind of evil, menacing look, but then the actor who's playing him inside is playing with a lot of enough humanity in him that it kind of works. That's the part of the show that works. But
how about the doctor? What's his name?
Well, yeah, but that's
Oh,
it's Parker.
the guy
Now
that was
this
at,
time
Cape of Water?
this time it's Parker Posey.
Parker Posey. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's a woman, and I got to say that I'm up to the 5th episode, and they don't do a hell of a lot with her. She just does stuff, and then you don't understand what she's doing, and it's. No, I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna ruin it for you. In fact, let me say that this whole show is virtually.
Where's my mute button?
No, is virtually.
Where's my sound off button?
What do they call it when you let out
Spoiler.
It's spoiler proof, the show.
That's because it moves like molasses.
Moves like molasses, and there are no great surprises. Yet there's something about it I do like, and I can't. I think number one, I think the father's badly cast. The kids are fine, but of course you got a white family with one black kid.
I was trying to figure that one out.
Well,
but I wasn't going to go there.
They explain it in the 5th episode, and it's just kind of like a throw-off. you know, to explain.
Hey, the black kid does not wear a hoodie.
No,
Phil.
but here's what they should do. Well, here's what here's what they should do. In England, if you had a black kid in a white family, they wouldn't even let. He's just a black actor playing that part, you know, and they don't make a big deal out of it. But here they felt somewhere they had to explain how they had this black kid, you know. You can't be smart enough to figure out that probably it's, you know, a blended family, you know.
Hey, you know, one great thing about that show that I got to give it 100% is the special effects. I mean, they're incredible.
Oh, they're very nice. They're very nicely done, although far more far more. You look at them, you say special effect. You say drawing, artwork. You know,
well, that was the whole idea of the original one. It was so campy that.
Well, but you see, they couldn't be anything else but campy because they were dealing with a technology that was imperfect. Okay, and so consequently, they had to do that. And so we like it for that campiness because they made do with what they had.
Hey, Zorro was in it. You know, Zorro was my hero.
Guy Williams,
so that's what got me into Lost in Space.
But, you know, and they had Billy Mummy in the first episode of this one.
Billy Mummy.
Did you notice him, Scott? Bill Mummy?
No. Oh, was he the doctor?
He was the doctor who she steals the coat from and stuff.
The jacket
from?
Yeah,
that's Bill Mummy.
That's the only other guy that, you know, made any sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Any original characters in there?
Any original?
Show?
Oh, yeah. There are 50 of them now. That's the trouble with it. In the old one, they were lost in space, and they were on this planet all alone, and occasionally somebody would land on it and make their life a living hell, or there'd be some kind of adventure that they would have or whatever. But on this planet, there are a whole bunch of people who landed there. So how are you lost in space? No, you're dislocated in space.
Yeah, they moved.
Yeah.
Due to some sort of, I don't know, asteroid coming at the Earth or something? I don't know.
No, they were coming because Earth was just going sour. And they were all going to go to Alpha Centauri. And then the place they were on they were going to jump off from to go to Alpha Centauri got attacked by this robot. Right?
The same robot?
The same robot. It's the same robot. Yeah.
Okay. What I couldn't figure out is like, what is wrong with that dude?
Well, he then gets he gets how can I put it, a case of Alzheimer's, and becomes a good robot.
Yeah.
But
I gotta go dark now. I'll be right. I'll be here.
Okay.
You're always dark.
Yeah. we could use some more callers. We've been getting light on callers lately. I don't know what this is all about.
Yeah, there for a while you were getting so many people. I didn't even bother calling in because it was packed. And what's the point?
Yeah.
I thought it was because there was too many Jews on the show.
Look at that beautiful world out there.
Hey, I watched the 4 or 5 Roseannes. So
I watched one tonight before I came on here.
Is there a new one or?
There's one on tonight.
There was one on tonight.
I'll have to watch it on Hulu. So I guess it'll get.
I'll tell you. I mean, it's not a badly written show.
It's not horrible, but
it's not like I'm going to make an appointment to watch the damn thing. But there's nothing wrong with it really. You know, it's the Roseanne show.
Yeah, it was
20 years later.
Yeah. Kids come back. It's it's
they're calling it season 11. Yeah. So numerically, so I think, it's not a bad show. Tonight, Johnny Galecki was on it, playing the role he played on there, and
how can he do 2 shows? Is that okay? I mean,
no, he just gets permission, and I'm sure CBS and Chuck Lorre are very happy to let him do it. Because it's where he started, and I'm sure it's with their blessing. He wouldn't. He's not going to fuck up $1 million a week job.
No, not to go to Roseanne.
Not to go to Roseanne. I mean, each one of the 4 principals in that show, 3 principals on the show. On Big Bang. Yeah. Penny Sheldon and Galecki's character, they get $1 million a piece per episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Chump change.
Yeah. So, but he started out on this show. This was one of his first shows. And so to have him come back it's kind of like a what can we call it? I don't know, a triumphant tour or something. Whatever you want to call it.
Throwback.
Did he play on Roseanne?
What?
Originally? What character did he play?
He played, what's her name's boyfriend, who she marries, I think, or boyfriend.
Sarah Gilbert, whatever her name was. I think it's Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they were married and divorced, or not divorced, but separated. I don't know. It's just...
Yeah.
Well, I guess in the new one, the guy dies, right?
No.
His brother died.
Oh, I thought it was the
Whose
blonde
brother died?
girl's husband.
See, I mean, I didn't, believe it or not, I only followed the original Roseanne up to a point.
The blonde's husband is dead.
Right.
He's really dead. The actor really died. That's why he couldn't come back.
Oh, I see.
That's what my wife thinks anyway, yeah.
Well, I mean, if he died...
They had a little memorial to, in memory of blah, blah, blah.
Well, they had 2 Beckys, right? There were 2 Beckys on the show.
Yes.
And this is the second Becky, the original Becky, but the second Becky they had on the first episode.
The first 2.
Yeah, she was the woman who wanted to have a baby by somebody else, by...
The original Becky.
The original Becky. Yeah, whoever. I don't know. I don't follow these things that closely.
They changed Becky's on me in the 4 or 5 shows I watched.
Well, then Becky got...
second Becky's much better looking.
Well, and if I remember correctly, Becky got married.
She married Johnny Galecki's brother on the show.
Yeah.
It's like the 2 brothers.
Now, do you know what actor married them?
No.
He had his back to the camera the entire time. David Feldman. Comedian really? David Feldman. Yeah, my friend David. He said, I finally got a part on Roseanne because he was working the writer's room at Roseanne. And I said, oh, what part did you get? He says, my back's to the camera the entire time. I marry Becky.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I haven't watched Hulu in a long time, but all of a sudden I discovered a couple of good things. There was a thing on sharks. That was really good.
Yeah, it's called Shark Tank. It's like these 4 people, and
this was not a Shark Tank. It was like a documentary, and it was all about sharks and different sharks, tiger sharks. What I'm going to be doing next year.
Makes you want to go scuba diving.
I'm going to be diving with tiger sharks in March of 2019.
Really?
Wow.
Not in a cage, just right out there with them.
And if they mop you up, do we call that a Phil free forever?
Yeah, probably. There's only six people participating, and then they have a big crew that watches your back to make sure they don't attack from the back.
Oh, that's really good. Have fun, Phil.
Did they give you bang sticks?
No, I'll have my camera. I have a big camera with an enclosure and arms and strobes.
Is it big enough to eat in one gulp?
No, although funny thing is, my friend Jason did this last year, and a 17-foot tiger named Emma, that is a regular one there, actually took his camera enclosure, and he got video inside of Emma's mouth. She went about 30 feet and then dropped it. And so he's got the video from inside the tiger's mouth. Tiger.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have fun on that one. Oh man.
I sent you a video of Tiger Beach from the company that I'm going with. They do this every week, and so somebody just put together a pretty good video, high def, and so I send it to you via Messenger.
Oh, okay.
It's about a minute and a half.
Yeah, but that must be one of the many videos you
send.
So
what kind of camera are you going to use, Phil?
Well, I have for underwater, because I have an older housing, and the housings are specific to the camera. I'm using a Nikon D700 with a 15 millimeter, not wide angle. 15 millimeter?
Fixed lens?
It's a fixed lens, but real wide, and it's a Subal housing with a couple of CNC strobes.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the sharks will love the flash.
Yeah. Well, everybody else was using the flash. I was studying the videos to see what people were doing, how they were doing it, the angles that they were taking the photos. A lot of guys used video, but the D700 is strictly still, and but it's a full frame.
Yeah. So.
And I'm not spending another 10 grand on underwater video, underwater equipment. This is it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, don't. I mean,
the camera I had before.
In my case, I would just get one of those cameras Kodak made that you could shoot underwater with. Those disposables. Whatever happened to the disposable cameras? Those disappeared.
Yeah.
Those don't exist anymore.
A lot of guys use GoPros when they do.
Yeah, GoPros, right.
Yeah. Well, you can't get better video than GoPros.
Well, I have a mount on my thing to mount a GoPro, and I'm going to mount the GoPro on my housing.
Well, don't get sexual with it, Phil.
I won't be able to do that for a while either.
No, but I got to tell you that I take occasionally I'll take video with the GoPro and with the thing I've got that's the Steadicam.
Steadicam.
And the quality is just extraordinary. Yeah. It is just extraordinary. And I'm not even shooting in 4K. I'm talking about it's just extraordinary, just in 1080p. But I got to tell you that I also did a whole video with my iPhone, and they're great for shooting with. The only problem with the GoPro is that you don't have a zoom at all that you can use. There is kind of a zoom you can use on an iPhone if you want to, but it's not. It's a electronic zoom. It's not an optical zoom. Yeah. But I wish it'd be really nice if the GoPro had more. But what the hell, it does what it's got to do, and it does it beautifully.
Well, there's other stuff out there now that isn't anywhere near as expensive as the Nikon and the Subal. There's the Panasonic has got a really good video camera.
GH5.
Yeah.
Listen,
they got housings for it.
I remember I bought a few years ago. I bought Marjorie when they were new, a 12 megapixel whatever Nikon, and now the iPhone has 14.
Right. Well, my underwater camera is 12.7 megapixel.
Yeah.
I have a D850 Nikon, and that's 47 megapixel. And I don't think that.
By the way, folks, really we should get on to other topics because people are just scratching their heads now, going, "What are these assholes talking about?"
I think you have a lot of people that are into photography to follow your show.
No, we don't.
Louise Zetlin, she's into photography.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Hey, Alex, I just one more technical question I was going to ask you. Have you ever thought about making a podcast of your show? Like some of the recent things you've done, like with that Holocaust guy, just amazing.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast.
No, I mean, it's a video podcast. I mean, an audio podcast. So I can
have
go driving.
Go to our site, and I've got all the audio from these shows.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This thing started out as an audio podcast. We just started adding video to it as kind of a perk, and now it's the only way people watch listen to the damn thing.
Hey, well, every radio station does it. KNBR, the sports station in San Francisco, they're online all the time. They've got a video camera in there.
They shouldn't be allowed to. No, really. Yeah. I'm serious. No radio station should be allowed to do a podcast.
Weren't they doing Periscope, and they'd have the Periscope app going while they were doing their radio show? Is that what they're
Some people
doing?
do that, yeah. It's no big deal to do any of this. And the fact that they discovered it all of a sudden, fuck them. I don't think a radio station, they've got their own method of distribution. Use that. You don't have to go to the internet. Oh, right. What? Nobody's listening to radio anymore? Not my fault.
Yeah.
By the way, look at my new camera. If anything, it's much more even. It's not doesn't have a lot of contrast in it. It's just, but it's very nice.
My screen is all fucked up. I don't know what happened. I think it absorbed some LSD or something somewhere, because I'm moving my mouse around, and then what it does is it reveals the picture as I move my mouse around. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Any of you guys have that? Yeah, this is weird.
So you move your mouse and you go.
Yeah, I move it over Alex. Alex is like total black screen for me. Yeah. But if I move my mouse over him, pixel by pixel, it like animates it back into full screen view. That's so damn weird. I don't know what. I think ever since I downloaded the new Microsoft Skype, it's been acting real weird for me like that. I don't know why.
Well, go to the older Skype. Go to the Skype
yeah, I
Classic.
tried to. Then see, that's how I got all screwed up. I was on your show for a while, and then I couldn't get back on. And so I just,
well, you just go to the old one. Yeah, but you go to Skype, and there is a drop-down menu. When you finally get to one of the things, I don't know where it is exactly, but there's a place where you get a drop-down menu and it says, do you want Linux? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want Mac OS Classic or Windows Classic, depending on what machine you're doing it from?
Yeah.
And then you just download the Classic, and that gives you the same as always, not the new sucko version.
You think photography talk is boring.
But everybody here is using Skype in one way or another, okay?
Yeah.
YouTube.
Right? But they don't give a shit about photographing underwater.
Hey, just another techie thing I got.
I have a hard enough time keeping myself financially above water. I just paid a $5,000 tax bill today.
Oh yeah, I get killed too. Hey,
yeah, where is this? Where is this? Hey, Trump, where's your fucking? It would have
been 7.
Huh?
It would have been 7.
Oh, it would have been 7. I see. Okay. I asked my my accountant would the changes next year in the tax code be helpful to me, and he said not really.
Oh,
he said the only people that it really has an advantage for are business people, are corporations.
Yeah, subchapter S pass-throughs. That should help me, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, well, good. I'm so happy for you. Meanwhile, I had to shell out $5,000.
Yeah, thanks.
There's more money out of girlfriends of,
well, hey,
home equity loan. What?
Your $5,000's going towards my wall.
Yeah, right.
Your fucking wall, man. Oh, jeez. Did you see that?
Well, we should all have
a video of some Mexican guy scaling the stupid wall in like under a minute. He clambered up and down.
The funny thing is, it was only 20 feet wide. I don't know why he went over it instead of around it.
But he wanted to prove he could do it.
Oh boy. Hey, Twitch has the best latency of anything out there with that new device I was showing you guys.
Now this is stuff that people don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
2 seconds of delay.
Something? I don't give a shit about latency.
I had to sign up for Twitch to get OBS to work.
I got a Twitch, but I just scratch it now and then.
You can get OBS to work on Facebook Live. You can get OBS to work on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't have to join Twitch.
Well, it said, Twitch, so I did. Now, I didn't write down my access code, so I may never be able to get onto it again.
I mean, I do
Twitch is weird. If you ever watch Twitch and
by the way,
listen
folks,
to
if you don't know what we're talking
talk,
about, let me do a narration here to tell you what they're talking about. What they're talking. Oh, go ahead. What they're talking about is various ways that people take their video and put them out over the internet, like everybody wants to do that. Yeah, no way.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to do that.
Yeah,
but you make it easy.
Say, but you're gonna go. You're gonna go use Twitch that nobody watches except gamers.
And people with Twitches.
I'm telling you right now, the best system that I've found without question, easily is YouTube. You know, it has singularly. I except for one night last week where we had a problem, where it went down for about 30 seconds or something like that. This thing has been working flawlessly.
Wonderful.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you?
Well, I'd rather watch you on YouTube than be on with Skype.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would rather do that.
Yeah.
That's why we only have 3 people here. Where is everybody else?
You know,
Patrick is getting a operation.
Yeah, Patrick won't be here this week. Maybe I should just take the week off.
Hey,
yeah, but then you won't get the lowdown about Ray Renati's play. I'll be gone Thursday.
Yeah, but you can tell me next
you
Tuesday. You can tell me next Tuesday.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
What about Friday?
No, Friday. I guess I got to do a show. What the hell? I don't know. If nobody calls me tomorrow night or the Thursday night, I'm just I'm calling it in early.
You know, every time you say that, you got 7, 8 people that call, and you got a bunch of newbies. I think that was great.
I was thinking about taking the show down to 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't care whether it's a great idea or not. It's a terrific idea. I mean, if I'm not going to get the participation from people, why shouldn't I?
It just has to be an 8-hour show.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. An 8-hour show. No, but I mean, if I come on here and nobody calls the show, I mean, this is getting a little ridiculous now. You know, a couple of nights last week we had a nice bunch of people, but, you know, right now, look, 3 people. That's it.
People are mourning the loss of Barbara Bush.
Oh, did she go?
Yeah, 92.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Who was a dead ringer for the Quaker Oats guy.
Really?
Yeah. Jesus Christ, Alex.
Well, you know, think about it. She spawned the president all you guys hate, especially Renee. You know.
I thought I always liked Barbara Bush. I always thought she was the classiest one in the whole family. You know, she was okay. You know,
did she kill anybody?
No.
I know that Junior's wife killed her boyfriend. You know, she ran over him in a car.
Yeah,
no, just a car accident.
No, she.
She didn't run over him it wasn't a boyfriend either.
Sounds better that way.
That's what I heard. This was what's her name? Bush, Laura Bush.
Yeah. Laura Bush, yeah, right.
I thought she was just in a car accident at a stop sign or something.
I heard
she forgot a stop sign and killed somebody.
I think she ran over her boyfriend by accident or something.
I'll have to Google it.
You know, that's what Kennedy did. You know, he went off the road, drowned his little girlfriend.
Yeah, they made a movie of that now.
But, you know,
who's going to see that stupid movie?
Well,
Jesus.
because it's got the revisionist theory. It's got the more reasonable theory of what happened. To begin with, he didn't even know she was in the back of the car. She had just passed out in the back of the car.
Yeah.
What he had in the wait a minute, hold on a second. But you see, you're not listening to the story, Phil.
Yeah.
There was another person in that car.
That person was giving him a blowjob?
May well have been whatever. They were. He was cheating. She was cheating on her husband.
Oh.
And so they then went into the drink, and they didn't even know that what's her name was in the back.
Mary Jo Kopechne.
Mary Jo Kopechne was in the back seat, and their whole thing was you swim that way and I'll swim that way, so they won't know we were together.
Oh.
And that's why all the cover-up and everything, it had nothing to do with the fact that he, had anything to do with Mary Jo Kopechne.
Of course not. Yeah.
No. Yeah. This is supposedly
this mystery third person.
I don't know, but supposedly that's the true story of what happened.
Okay.
Well, it makes perfect sense now. It didn't make sense.
How come it took 40, 50 years for this
most of these
mystery person to come forward?
But no, because we had to wait for him to die for the truth to come out.
He was as soon as he got elected.
You know, but I mean, well, he became a good senator. He was a good senator.
Yeah.
For Massachusetts, they loved him up there. They reelected him over and over again because he was doing the job for his constituents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He looked out for elders.
You just don't like him because he's a Kennedy, but he happened to be he was the dumbest of the Kennedys, but he was a Kennedy.
Yeah.
Hey, I cracked up my sailboat in front of the Kennedy compound in Hyannis when I was a kid. I went sailing out there, and I tried to get close to the compound, and there was a giant rock just out there, and I didn't see it, and my rudder board ran into it, and I kind of spun around this rock, and I didn't sink or anything. The boat righted itself, but I never went back to the Kennedy compound after that.
Sunfishes?
Scott.
Yeah, it was a sunfish.
Scott,
Actually, it was a sunfish.
Hey, Alex, did you see the Timeless on Sunday night?
Yes.
That was a good. I liked that. That was cute.
I like that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that show.
It was a John Kennedy one. They went back, brought him back from the past in when he was 17, brought him to the present time, and it was freaky. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It's a good show. It's a good show. And let's see here. What else was a good show? You know what I'm watching? I'm watching the show called The Terror, about these two ships that went to try and find a Northwest Passage and got stuck in the middle of winter in up there, and it was no fun to watch the other day because it was cold as shit outside. You know, I mean, we've had just terrible weather, and so it's not exactly the kind of thing you want to sit in the house and watch during terrible weather.
Is that the one that everybody died from eating lead cans?
Yeah, the Lord Franklin.
They just found the boats just a few years ago. They found the Terror, I think, in 2014, and they were able to determine that it was lead poisoning that killed them. But nobody was on the ship. They had all left the ship.
Yeah.
Now, you would think that if the ship was stuck in the ice thing, don't they usually just get destroyed by the ice closing in on it?
Well, that's what was happening to the ship. They were fighting against it, the ice crushing it. But they had enough supplies with them for 2 years. They could have survived up there for 2 years with the food they had, but they did it in these tins that were lead. And there was lead poisoning that started happening.
How
the lids were soldered together. They were made out of tin, but the lids were soldered.
Yeah,
and that's where lead came from.
And the solder was the lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this must have been a long time ago before they knew about the dangers of lead?
1850s.
Oh, okay. Just last week.
Yeah, just last week. And the name of the ship was the Terror.
Yeah.
And the other one was the Hubris or something like that. I can't remember what it was called.
Hey, the guy that invented leaded gasoline in New Jersey, he used to drink it to prove that it was safe. And, of course, he died of lead poisoning-related illness. Yeah.
Who would drink gasoline? I mean, what? I'm going to drink gasoline to show that it's not dangerous?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, to say that
non-leaded
people at the
gases.
factory were getting sick, and so he drank some leaded gasoline, a little bit to show that it was okay, that nothing happened to him. And of course, he did get sick and died.
You don't drink gasoline.
Than the MTBE that they put in in the gas. That was worse.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to go back to that soon because the EPA is going to shit. You know that.
Yeah. Well, you got a stupid idiot sitting in the White House.
We don't have any of those restrictive rules and regulations that keep people from dying.
They just want a little more of an even playing ground.
Even playing field? What, between life and death?
No, I mean other countries that don't have restrictions.
I don't care if other countries don't have restrictions. We protect our own.
Yeah, but just protecting our own doesn't protect the Earth.
No,
these other countries.
No, we're not talking about protect. EPA it protects everybody.
Yeah. What about the Chinese?
Let the Chinese fuck up their country if they want to.
They're not fucking up their country. They're fucking up the world. You think that plastic that's in the ocean that we're dealing with is...
There's no plastic in the ocean. What are you talking about, man?
Oh, yeah.
Fake news. I don't believe any of that shit.
Yeah, and
show me the plastic in the ocean.
Yeah, you.
Where is it?
But they just came up with an enzyme that actually eats some forms of plastic. Like the plastic bottles and things like that.
Anytime they come up with something like that, all I got to think about is the cartoon I once saw about, the guy who has a problem with a mouse, so he gets a cat, and then he got a problem with the cat, so he gets a dog, and he has a problem with a dog, and he gets a lion. I mean.
Then if he really wants a problem, he gets a wife.
Yeah.
What's that enzyme going to do to the ocean?
They're working with it right now. Some university in England has come up with this enzyme, and I don't know what this enzyme is going to do to the ocean, but what it does is it feeds on this one kind of plastic.
What did they say? We have a whole island of plastic out there that's big enough the size of Texas or something.
There's no plastic out there, Alex. It's a myth.
Oh, I see. Okay,
I think it's
fake news. Fake news.
Fake news, man. It ain't true.
Yeah. Hey, in Oakland, in the Port of Alameda, the old Navy base there's a giant boat that's going to leave pretty soon. That's going out to the Pacific to collect a bunch of that plastic. I forget what the name of the organization is.
What they have to do is look at the wildlife. They take some of these birds that their stomachs are so full of plastic that they starve to death.
Yeah.
But and when they cut the stomach open, you see all these different brightly colored pieces of plastic and little bubbles of plastic. It's just amazing.
Hey, what would they find if they cut Trump's stomach open?
Yeah.
Big Macs.
Golf balls.
And Kentucky Fried Chicken, I think. Hey, meanwhile, Pompeo is having meetings with Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's high-level meetings going on right now as a precursor to Trump and Kim Jong-un.
You know what?
Summit.
What? Somebody was going to say something. What I was going to say is what but what does Kim Jong-un want out of this? Because he wants the meetings, and it doesn't have to do with Trump.
He wants a pro-basketball team.
It could be, but there's nobody tall enough in North Korea to do that with. But he really, what he wants out of this is what Trump is going to give him. And Trump is a sucker for this kind of thing. He wants legitimacy, and Trump is going to give it to him.
That's okay. I don't care if he's legitimate as long as he gives up his nuclear weapons.
Well, but as long as South Korea gives up theirs and the Asian nations in that part of the world give up theirs as well.
I think South Korea has nuclear weapons. I know China does, but I don't think South Korea does.
I think they do. By way of us. That we have missiles in South Korea.
But we could move our missiles out. If they move their missiles out, why shouldn't we move ours out?
I mean, this is what he's going to go for, and he wants legitimacy. He wants what he's going to be is going to happen is because Trump is now talking to him. America is now talking to him. He's already won because he suddenly has become such a major power that we want to talk to him.
Well, haven't we all won if he gives up his nuclear weapons?
I don't think that we would lose anything no matter what North Korea did because it's not a basic threat to us, and I don't care what kind of hocus.
But it's a threat to our allies, South Korea. It's a threat to Japan.
Well, it's not a threat to them either because the fact of the matter is if Kim Jong-un uses a missile on South Korea with a nuclear device in it, the next thing you know, there's going to be no more North Korea. All right?
Want that.
And he's not that stupid. The reason he doesn't want an escalation in all of this is he knows it's a war he can't win. So as long as he can't win the war, why not win the peace by coming to terms that are positive for him and gives him place on the world stage, which he wants.
With all of these sanctions that will be placed against China, the wood floor business is going to move to North Korea, and we're going to get a lot of cheap wood floors coming from North Korea.
China is really feeling those sanctions. They're really just smarting from them.
Well,
because there's nowhere else in the world to sell your goods but the United States, is there?
And not for the prices that they get for it, because they want U.S. dollars. But as far as
you don't think they're happy with British dollars, Russian dollars, money is money, Phil. Our money isn't. To begin with, the American dollar financially is backed by China because they have all of it. Because we owe them so much fucking money that if they ever wanted to, call in the ticket and repossess things, they'd be getting all of Florida. I'm sure of that.
Backed by God, and each one of them says, "In God we trust." And it's a good thing
the fact is, the American dollar is not as important on the world stage as it once was. The fact is, China can trade in a British pound or a Russian ruble. Or
though nothing is as stable as the U.S. dollar.
Oh yeah. Oh, really? Wait a minute. Where did you hear that?
It's been that way for the last 100 years.
It's stable.
Yeah. You heard of the year 2008, Phil? Right?
Well, there were always ups and downs, but what happens is we're not
ups and downs is a racetrack in England.
Hey, if you go to South, what is that? Africa, South Africa.
South Africa.
Right? Yeah. White landowners are running away from their land because the government is supporting them, and their lands are being taken over by the government and by people, and they're in fear of their lives.
Well, what does that have to do with it?
Well, I tell you what it has to do with it. In America, that doesn't happen. If you own property, you have rights, and those rights are respected.
Oh, really? Have you ever heard? Have you ever heard about eminent domain?
Eminent domain is for the good of the people, not for the good of the government.
Really?
Well, it should be.
It should be.
Yeah, it's there for roads. It's there for it's not there for shopping centers.
If you're a big corporation, you want a piece of land, little mom and pop got a piece of land, they're going to get it. Okay? They're going to get it.
It's just
agree somebody.
What country are you living in, Phil?
Well, I'm living in a country.
Are you living in Trump la land?
I'm living in a country that doesn't nationalize all its corporations and nationalize all of the business.
I'm all for nationalizing every corporation we've got. Fuck it.
I'm sure you are. In Cuba, my friend just got thrown out of Cuba this week. He had to leave. He did something that they didn't like.
What was that?
Well, he brought in $1,500 worth of scooter batteries from Florida, and he was going to sell them. And somebody ratted him out. And
he was doing something illegal.
He's black marketing.
He's black marketing. And my friend got kicked out of Cuba.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, he had to leave fast.
Okay, so I'm supposed to feel sorry for him, and I'm supposed to feel the Cuban people are terrible people because of this?
Yeah. I think you like these kinds of guys, You hang around with criminals. And
what criminals did I ever hang out with?
What about Abby Hoffman?
Abby Hoffman wasn't a criminal. He was a political activist.
Abby Hoffman was a hero, man.
FBI.
He was a hero of the Vietnam War. He was a
hero to who?
He was a hero to those of us who were protesting the war.
That whole thing was a con job. Yeah. That whole thing was a setup.
Right. All right.
Oh, you telling me my government lied to me?
They lie all the time. I.F. Stone said the main job of governments is to lie.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought about the Obama government. And
he did it too. He's a slime ball.
And that's what I thought about our present government. As far as the Congress and the Senate.
How about the presidency?
Nah,
no, he tells the truth all the time, Alex. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're insane, Alex.
The only guy tells the truth.
You ought to be on the radio.
Yeah.
You know something? You know what it is? Trump is truth challenged.
Yeah. That's why he uses
truth
Twitter.
Challenged.
Yeah. Okay. He doesn't want his truth filtered by the fake media.
Yeah.
Trump is the king of fake.
I just wonder how many illegitimate kids he does have.
Yes, right.
That's a question I really want to know. How many kids does he have out there?
Well, who cares?
Well, I don't know. Each one costs him $1.5 million or something like that.
That's to get rid of, and that's probably a cheaper way to go than.
Listen, I wish I were a doorman in his fucking building, because the doorman got $30,000 to keep his mouth shut that a maid at Trump Tower got knocked up by Trump.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the maid.
This is the kind of moral character we need in the White House.
He's the man.
He was just sowing his wild oats before he became president.
Not before he became president. It should be before you get married, Phil.
We had a great Republican governor here, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he fooled around and screwed up his maid, and it totally ruined his life.
Do you think he was great? I don't think he was so good. He got conned.
That can be argued. I'm not a Republican.
My feeling about it is you just never vote for governor for anybody who was in Predator, because we've already had 2 governors here in the United States who were in the movie Predator.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura
and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And Arnold, right?
Yeah.
They were also both in what do you call it? The Running Man. So either of those movies,
Hey, I can hardly wait for Taboo to come back. Man, I am just waiting. Taboo is so cool.
What's Taboo?
Yeah. With Tom Hardy. It's a British show.
That show, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Check it out. You could
I've seen it. I saw it probably before you ever did.
You probably did.
Yeah.
What, do you get advanced previews or something with your connections?
You might say that.
You wouldn't do anything illegal.
No, I wouldn't. Absolutely. To go get those things online for free? Fuck it.
Hanging out with all of those criminals. And, and your friend Jack, locked up.
Yeah, he was locked up for 2 years. He was in prison. It happened to be a German prison camp. It happened to be called Auschwitz.
Yeah, 3 hots in a cot. No cot.
Yeah, you don't make believe me, you don't make jokes about it. Last week was not a good week for Jack. We had lunch with him on the day that he was liberated. And he was miserable. And I said to him, "You should be happy. That was the day you were liberated." And he said, "No, that's the day you find out all the people you loved are dead."
Oh, he had no contact with anyone?
Well, you'll find out, I think, in episode 3, he does meet up with his father one last time.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, it was not an easy day for him. I mean, we were there on the day of his liberation.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Not fun.
Good.
Let me see. How's my picture looking? Does my picture look good? It's a 4K camera, folks.
It looks the same to me.
I figured as long as we had to put out $5,000 to the government, I should buy myself a $159 camera. Fuck it. You
make yourself larger on the YouTube thing?
What do you mean? Sometimes I watch the YouTube thing on.
No. I'm looking at the YouTube thing on the phone.
Yeah,
a little small square
is a very, very small square. And so what I wanted to do was, if you could make yourself larger, okay, that's it. Yeah, larger than life. I don't notice that big of a difference between your old camera and this one.
Well, do you see you don't see me on the camera, though. the camera alone. Well, oh, there we go. Okay, well, you may not notice it there. I bet if you blow it up on a big 4K TV set, you'll notice a difference.
You look great. You look
I
amazing.
know. Fuck him. Fuck him.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Look,
Yeah.
And he takes pictures for a living?
huh?
Can he take a good picture when he sees one?
Well, I'm watching it on the phone.
Yeah. If you notice, I mean, like if Scott said the books in back of me, you can actually read the names or the.
I was reading labels on his book or titles on his.
DVDs in the back.
That's because you're younger than us.
Got glasses on. Younger.
Yeah.
But anyway, where was I?
Sorry.
I don't know.
Oh, you were bragging about your camera.
No, I was just every now and then putting it on so I would get my money's worth.
Hey, how's Larry Harvey from Burning Man? Had a massive stroke last week or something.
I have no idea. I haven't talked to Larry Harvey in 30 years or 20 years or something like that. Yeah. That's what it's got to be. Yeah, 20 years. 20 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I met him in 2003.
Larry Harvey's the guy who started Burning Man. He had a massive heart attack.
No, massive stroke.
Stroke, heart attack, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess he started in San Francisco on the beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where it started.
Baker Beach.
I'm proud to say I've never gone to a Burning Man.
Well, I was there in the second year that it was in the desert.
Wow.
And went 2 more times while it was in the desert. And we said we would keep going. My friend and I said we would keep going until somebody got killed. And that year, 3 people got killed.
Wow.
And we knew it was over. And at that point, there were maybe 10,000 people showed up.
It's like 60,000.
Yeah, now it's 60. Yeah.
Limited to a sort of a lottery or something?
No, what they're charging to get in. I don't think they have to have a lottery. I think that they just raise the price if more and more people get in. Was it $400-$500 now?
Yeah, it's almost $500 now.
Yeah, last time I went.
I mean, that's if you get an early ticket.
Last time I went, it was $25.
Yeah. Now, if you try to buy a ticket now, you're going to have to pay close to $1,000.
Wow. How much was Woodstock?
Free.
Well, what? No, it was. It became free.
Yeah. It became free.
Free. I think, if I remember correctly, Woodstock was like $15, $20, something like that.
I was living in New York at the time, and I said to my friend Barry, I said, maybe we should go. And then I said, he said, nah. And we didn't go. It's too bad. I would have enjoyed that.
Well, when I went up there, I actually got my car onto the property because I was backstage. And but I had to turn around and leave on Saturday to come back to New York to do my Saturday night show because the radio station. Here's what happened. I talked to the people who are going to run Woodstock, and I said, "Hey, listen, could we have your permission to run a line in there?" In those days, we used telephone lines to broadcast through. We run a line in there. And I can do my show from the festival. And they said, fine, that'd be great. We're all for it. You have our permission. So I go to my bosses and I say, okay, I got the rights to put a line into backstage at the Woodstock Festival, and I could do my show from there. And they said, what's the Woodstock Festival going to be? Well, if we had a telephone line back there, we would have been the only media in the world to have a live feed coming out of Woodstock, and we could have charged a fortune for anybody else to use it.
You could have been a star, Alex.
Yeah.
No, we could have made the radio station could have made a fortune.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda made a fortune.
It was $18 for a 3-day pass to the Woodstock.
Really?
$18.
Yeah. So I
wonder how much one of those tickets would be worth now. At auction, if you had a ticket in good condition.
I don't know.
But anyway, so we had to. I had to go back on Saturday, and the person that came with me, because I have a car and he didn't, was Paul Krasner, because he had to come back because he was dating a woman in New York, and he had a date for Saturday night, so he left the Woodstock Festival to get laid. That's kind of like taking Coles to Newcastle, but But you know, that was one play. And finally, after that whole weekend, I went into my bosses and I said, "Well, you just blew making a lot of money." I said, "Do you realize how much I could have done reports every hour on the hour? We could have sent them out and syndicated to the rest of the country, and they could get these reports from us. But no, you didn't want to do that because what was it going to be?" And you know, putting in a line in those days cost $100. You know, it was cheap.
But how do you get a line from the street all the way to wherever the stage was?
Well, because they had phone lines going into the press tent.
So it's just a matter of taking it from there.
Creating another phone line, but just a higher quality phone line than the telephones use. Yeah. I'll never forget, though, my greatest moment at Woodstock was backstage in the press tent where I was sitting there. It was Abby and I and Jerry Rubin, and I think Krasner was with us. And we're just talking about stuff. And all of a sudden, one of these guys from the press, wearing a tie and a shirt and the whole thing, stands up and says, "I need a quote from an average concert goer." And he points at Abby and he says, "You, give me a quote." And Abby said, this is in his Boston accent, "I think this is the greatest event since the Kennedy assassination."
Jesus Christ.
And the reporter then sits down at his typewriter and starts typing it. Doesn't know who was saying it to him or whatever,
Oh, he didn't get the guy's name?
No, you didn't get his name. You just want an average concert goer.
An average concert goer.
You ask for an average concert goer in the press tent at Woodstock. Right?
Yeah. Who's going to be average in the press tent?
Yeah. So anyway, it was but that was I to this day I think about how much money they blew on that. They could have done so well. It turned into such an event.
Now, were you not aware, during the Monterey Jazz Festival, for instance?
I wasn't on the West Coast, so I didn't even care about it. I didn't even,
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was a great event too.
Yes, but not like Woodstock. It was a different kind of event. It was to begin with. It was kind of like an arena event, or even less than that in size. Yeah. Woodstock was, listen, until they started telling the public don't come, there were up to 1 million people headed towards Woodstock.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I think there were at least over 100,000 that were there.
Wow.
So I mean, it was quite something. It turned into something they didn't realize. They didn't think it was going to turn into that. I didn't think it was going to turn into that. I thought it was just going to be a nice festival up in Woodstock. It was supposed to be in Woodstock. That's why it was called the Woodstock Festival. And the city of Woodstock said, "You can't do it here."
So they moved it on some guy's farm.
They moved it to Maxie Asger's farm in Bethel, which is a few miles down the road. But they kept the name of the Woodstock Festival because they had already given it that name, so they just kept that name. But it wasn't the Woodstock Festival; it was the Bethel Festival.
It was, the music that came out of that was phenomenal, and the act came out of it.
No acts really came out of that.
Yeah,
they were already established acts in the business. It was just amazing they were able to get all the ones that they wanted. I mean, there were people that turned them down. They invited the Rolling Stones. I think they invited the Beatles. They invited quite a few. The Who did show up though.
They didn't invite me.
And
hey, Jimi Hendrix, Star Spangled Banner was just one of the most amazing things ever. I mean, it was just pure genius and so expertly performed. And I think it's one of the pinnacles of that era, I would say, is his Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock.
Yeah.
Well, I knew a guy, Jim Marshall, was a photographer.
Here we go again with the Jim Marshall story.
He shot Jimi Hendrix setting his guitar on fire at the Monterey Pop Festival. And what happened was Jimi Hendrix actually gave him the heads up and said, "You're going to want to see this." And then he set the guitar on fire, and Jim got the shot. and an iconic shot. But this is one act.
Okay, well, we can hardly wait till your next Jim Marshall story.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, Jim Marshall was a pretty interesting guy. He drank a little bit much, and if you didn't drink with him, it was not a pretty sight. And the first time I met him, he says, "You want a drink?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have a glass of wine." He said, No, it's scotch. And I was not a scotch drinker. And so between the dope, the scotch, and the cigarettes, I couldn't take it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are those people who don't want to be an alcoholic alone.
Yeah. Well, he wanted you to keep up with him, and there was no way I could do that.
What's his name? The actor. Oh God, my mind is just a fucking blank. He just died recently.
Cirrhosis.
Old craggy Western type guy. Oh, fuck. I can think of one movie he was in. I'd look it up right now. My mind's just a blank. But he was one of those because he wanted me to go out with him and get drunk one night. And somebody said, "Don't go with him. Do not go with him. You do not want to go on a drunken binge with him." He said, "It will come to no good. Your life will be turned to hell." And so I didn't. But I've had other people who I've known who are like, they really want you to join their alcoholic binge. And
that's what Jim Marshall was like.
I've never been a drinker, So, you just wouldn't find me going out on an alcoholic binge.
Yeah, I like 2 glasses of wine at dinner, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even do that. I have a half a glass of wine and I go to sleep.
I used to have a friend named Pat Sky, who was a folk singer, who I produced an album on called Songs That Made America Famous. And Pat was kind of a boring guy, and then he would get a couple of drinks in him, and he was really the funniest guy you ever met in your life. And amiable and wonderful, and then he'd have another drink and he was still amiable and wonderful, but then he hit a certain tipping point and he became the meanest, nastiest fuck you could even be around. At that point you said, this is when we sneak out the door. He's great to be around up to this point, but you don't want to be there when he gets to the next point.
Weird. Yeah, people are weird.
Yeah.
Even if I do get drunk, I'm the drunk that falls asleep on the sofa.
I don't even. I think I just become. I don't even like to smoke pot that much anymore because I get very unsociable with pot. I'm unsociable enough as it is. Last night Marjorie and I had to go to this birthday party for this friend, and I sat in the corner alone, and I was happy when Jack Garfine showed up because then we sat there alone, not being part of the party, Meanwhile, his girlfriend and my wife are out socializing with everybody, and we're just sitting there going, Yeah,
you were just the eye candy.
And then I said to him, "So how you feeling, Jack?" And he said, "Trump's depressing me." He said,
"I thought he'd be a Republican."
He said, "I've seen this all before." He said, "I don't like seeing it happen again."
First they burn the books, then they take away the guns, and
taking away the guns has nothing to do with it, Phil. Taking away liberty is what it's all about, and also using people as scapegoats for your own ends is the other terrible part. I mean, what's going on right now is as depressing as anything I've ever seen in the presidential office. And I've seen a lot of depressing stuff in my time.
So who's he scapegoating, Comey?
Let's start with the Mexicans, okay? Let's start with people of race and color who he says, oh, well, they're just as much to fault as the white guys who were in that riot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's very true, Phil.
Yeah. He didn't, his narrative on that, I think, was weak. As far as...
a president of the United States who says words about somebody like he wrote about Comey is just disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Comey write about him.
Wait a minute. Doesn't matter. You're the president of the United States. You should have more dignity than that.
Oh, I guess he doesn't have dignity. You know,
He doesn't.
What do you call Comey? A slime bag or something to that?
Slime bag. Yeah.
You know, I mean, what president ever uses that kind of language to describe somebody he disagrees with?
A slime bag.
A slime bag president.
Well, you know something. Trump is just existing in this fishbowl of our declining culture and society anyway. I mean, he never would have risen to the point where he had risen had not American culture declined to such a point. So he's swimming
John,
in this.
All we can do is blame ourselves.
No, I think we could blame corporate culture, which has taken over this country. I mean, my wife and I were just talking about that today. There's no regulation in this country anymore because corporations are the people that staff the regulatory agencies. They go in and out. Look at this asshole that's in charge of the FAA now. Net neutrality and all that. I mean, he was a Verizon executive.
By the way, we're losing a member of the FCC, but by law, I think, or by tradition, has to be replaced by a Democrat. So,
good, but I mean, we have just a corporate government now. You know, and
how has net neutrality? How's it affected the net at this point? You know,
well, it's too early for it to have any effect. Yeah. It has, I don't think even the rule has gone into effect yet, has it?
It's gone into effect.
No.
Yeah.
So you know, you're not going to see an immediate degradation of the internet, not overnight. You know, it's not like you're turning on a light switch, but you will over a period of a couple of years start to see major corporations monopolizing the internet and taking it basically away from the little guy like me, like John, who use it for our own small little dog and pony shows. It's going to be a lot rougher. You know what?
That gal on YouTube, the exercise gal.
Well, her problem with YouTube was that YouTube changed the method of payment to people.
Yeah, but
how they were paying
somebody a living.
Huh?
When did YouTube ever promise somebody a living?
Well, they promised it the minute they said we're willing to pay you by the viewers that you have. So in doing that, they gave people expectations of being able to earn a living. And so then they went out and earned a living, but all of a sudden that living was minimized from what it had been. So they don't exactly have the right to do that to their people, you know.
Yeah, but this is common in business where they put out a carrot, they get their content, and once they build it to a point that they don't need it anymore, they cut it off.
I think there are other ways they probably could have substantially lowered the amount of money that people were making while keeping the people that were already there kind of vested, you know, because they had made that promise to them and made that deal with them, and then changed the existing rules that you have to have so many viewers to be able to start with it, and once you do, here's the percentage we're going to give you. But if you're vested up to this point with a channel that you have, it remains like it has been.
I don't have a YouTube channel, and you do. Did you sign a contract, or did you make some sort of contract that says that outlines if you have this many viewers, this many views, and so forth? Or was that just a colloquial way of dealing with things that they were trying to buy content?
No. That only happens when you reach a certain amount, and then they will start giving you money. But you at that point have to sign up as I can't remember what the term is, as a participant or a monetizer or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to sign up for the monetization. I don't have enough people. I don't have enough people to even start with that monetization or to even run ads on my site. You know, on my YouTube page. I think I could probably run commercials in the middle of this, but you know.
Oh, you'd go down to like 2 viewers if you started doing that. I hate those little YouTube commercials that they come up and they block the lower third of your screen, and you have to click something to get it off. And
what about, John, when you're watching something and then 30 seconds into it, it makes you watch a commercial until you can finish watching the thing that you were watching.
By the way, let me tell you that those commercial breaks are put in by the people who are giving you the video. They decide how many breaks they want to have in their show. Now, if I did a show, I'd probably say no. You know, run an ad before, run an ad afterwards. But sometimes they will run an ad before these shows if I violate any copyrights. They will use that to pay the copyright holder money. Okay. And a lot of times when that's happened, they still don't run a video beforehand, but they have the right to do that so that the copyright holders can monetize the use of that music.
Do you have anything that's copyrighted?
Huh?
Do you own anything that's copyrighted? That
everything I do is copyrighted.
Right. So if we violate those things, they'll pay you money?
What do you mean? No. We're talking about music.
Yeah.
We're talking about music.
Yeah. Music or videos.
Yeah. That's why I said, do you have anything that's copyrighted? Music.
Well, no. But this show is basically every show is copywritten.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, what do you think of mesh networks? You know, as an alternative to the internet. You know, if the internet ever gets
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's what the military uses in a battlefield situation. That every computer or every workstation is connected in a closed network, and if one unit goes down, the network keeps working. But neighborhoods can set up a mesh network too.
Private area network, or
yes, yeah, and I might think that we may see the emergence of that if the corporate entities start, regulating in their way because of loss of net neutrality. What we can do on the internet,
John, I would think that the corporations already use those kinds of things for their, these large corporations have employees and they sign on to their own network for training and other things.
Yeah, that's true. And also the internet is used as a tremendous e-commerce tool now. I mean, there's so much, buying of stuff now. A mall in my neighborhood shut down. A mall in Philadelphia, a friend of mine, big mall, that went out of business.
Yeah, but the mall shut down the mom and pop stores, so fuck them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it's karma, Yeah.
I mean, everything is going to be replaced by something else eventually, and you have to get used to it, and you have to adapt to the new technology.
Alex, did you read that book I sent you?
No, not yet. I have it sitting.
It's a very interesting one.
Yeah, I have time to read books. Yeah, okay. Anyway, hey.
Oh, wow. We're finished.
It was painless. I mean, we had a nice little discussion here. Fuck them all if they didn't want to call and join in on it. Yeah, give them the big fuck you sign, Scott. Look at him. That's a vibrant fuck you. Yeah, I like that.
Trump does it this way.
Yeah, he does it. He does it by sticking the rod up your ass is what he winds up doing.
That's how he used to grab him by the pussy and stick his thumb up.
That's correct. Anyway, hey everybody, why don't you give him a big wave goodbye and we'll say goodnight. We'll see you on Wednesday, Phil. Okay, bye. That's it. That's our little group for tonight. Let me hang up on them so that we don't have to. So the next show can use the Skype channels that we have here. Hey, that's it. Hey, how do you like my new camera, huh? Isn't that fine? See, you can probably see the hairs on my hand here, what's left of them. I'm not growing hair anymore. My legs don't have any hair on them any longer. I don't know. That's it for tonight. I'm Alex Bennett. Coming up next, it is The Intersection with Jack and Amy. That will be followed closely by The Connections at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. 9:30, it's The Exchange with Damian Chaplin, and then I'll be back here tomorrow night. Yes, you know the time. Yeah, 10 o'clock. Same time, same station and live. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Bye.